I bow to all the seekers of truth. Yesterday, I talked to you about the different centers, subtle centers within us, and also when a person reaches a higher state of awareness, what happens to him. At the human level, when we exist as normal human beings, there are 3 channels which work within us automatically. They are called as autonomous nervous systems. But if you ask them, who is this auto? The medical science cannot say who is that. They just say that this is autonomous, a name given, but they do not explain. But whatever we achieve in our evolutionary process is expressed in our central nervous system, as I told you yesterday. Now, if you ask a dog to go through a dirty lane, he can just walk through, he has no problems. But if you ask a human being to pass through a dirty lane, he cannot do it. Because in his awareness, he has developed a sense of dirt, filth, color, so many things, music. But for an animal, it is Greek and Latin. In the same way, a person who is not a realized soul, who is not the spirit, to teach him about righteousness, of goodness, everything, is only an outside conditioning. But to make it the nature of man, righteous and virtuous, one has to reach a state which we call as self-realization. Now we have within ourselves those 3 channels, as you can see now, one on the left, another on the right, and one in the center. Now these 3 channels are subtle channels, represent on the left and right, the left and right sympathetic, and in the center the parasympathetic. Now when we want to increase the beat of our heart, we go into an emergency, we run or do anything, the heart starts beating fast. That is the work of a sympathetic nervous system. But when it stops and comes to normal is the work of the parasympathetic. So we have control over the sympathetic. For emergency we use it, but no control over the parasympathetic. Now the left side of this channel deals with our past, is the psyche, as we can say Freud has called it, is the psyche. But psyche is not everything, so I say that Freud was half-baked. So this left side psyche is the conditioning within us. It also is the past within us. And beyond it lies the past that is the collective past. That is called in Sahaja Yoga as collective subconscious. Now, how is cancer caused? I saw a film of doctors about 2 years back in London. They had researched it, and the research thought was such that when we are vulnerable to cancer, means we have done overactivity, then the cancer is triggered by a protein called 58 or protein 52, that's what they give the name again, which enters into our awareness from the area that is built within us since our creation. So the one gets the cancer if he is too much goes to the collective subconscious area. Now what is this collective subconscious? It is all that is dead since our creation, means all the dead. But you may call it 52, 58 protein, whatever name you may give, but it's the dead soul. And that is the thing that when cancer is caused, it is these dead souls attack. At the attack of these dead souls, we get cancer. Now, for example, this is the left side and this is the right side of energy flowing within us. And these are the vertebrae. And in the center we form the chakra here. Now what happens if you start using too much, this thing goes on, using too much of the sympathetic energies left or right. Then the relationship is broken. And an entity enters into your awareness which triggers your cancer. Means there is no control with the whole. So this thing is vulnerable, and as soon as an attack comes from somewhere, these cells become ego-oriented and they start acting on their own. Malignancy starts. Now, what does the Kundalini do when she rises? I told you about Kundalini yesterday, which is the true desire within us. When she rises, she comes up to the center.
And through the same.
Now, this Kundalini knows. She cooperates, coordinates, and nourishes. She's a very intelligent personality. You can see even a little root which has got the end, tip of the end, is a small little cell which knows how to go down properly.
I know.
But this Kundalini has 1,000 times, million times more intelligence. And she comes and nourishes the centers, soothes them, and awaken the deities there. And again the chakras come back to normal. And thus cancer gets cured. When you are in the central path, no disease can come to you. But if you move too much to the left or to the right, you get into troubles. Most of the incurable diseases that we have are from the left side.
True.
Because they are psychosomatic, and doctors who are medical people cannot handle it.
Fair.
And the psychologists who are one-sided cannot handle it. They have to know both the things. So the only problem is how to put the person in the center. Many diseases like Parkinson's, then there are all the diseases of lethargic organs, then the diseases which are very serious these days, like AIDS, you must have heard, where people have become over-licentious and they develop those diseases. All these are the manifestation of the left side. Angina of the heart. Then all the mental diseases come from the left side. And all the habits that we have, like taking drugs, by which there are many drugs which only take you to the left side. Now when the young people revolted, they did not know, they were naive, and they took to drugs and destroyed themselves. It is self-destruction. Left-sided people do not destroy others, they destroy themselves. I have seen people overnight leaving all such habits after realization. All escapists come to the center and face the reality, because reality is beautiful after realization. Now the right-sided people are the people who are futuristic. They are overactive, they are thinking too much, and they can never reach the point because they always go ahead of the point. They plan everything beforehand, and by the time the plan starts, it all fails. So the futuristic people are the people who also aggress others, who can destroy others. It's the same whether you destroy yourself or others, is the same. In the eyes of the divine, both are just the same. Because you have no right to destroy yourself, neither right to destroy others. Those people who put in too much of physical effort, even Hatha Yoga they do indiscriminately, Or those people who run too much. These days there's another madness is called, what do you call that? Jogging. All these nonsensical things those who do are suffering from the right side problem. Such people become emotionally dry, very dry, and there will be divorce in the family, they'll be very hot-tempered, quarreling, argumentative. If their ego is pampered, they are happy. When it is punctured, they are unhappy. But they haven't got joy. They cannot give joy. They are very, very boring people. But they have also troubles of the physical side. For example, such people get diabetes,
Diabete.
liver trouble,
Fegato.
also they get paralysis, heart attacks. The reason is there is a very important center within us called Swadhisthana.
No, questo qui.
Now this center has got two things to be done. Firstly, it supplies to all the organs of the viscera of the abdomen, like liver, pancreas, spleen, kidneys. It supplies, looks after, gives the energy, thus this center. And the more important work is that it has to transform the fat for the use of the brain, because brain is made of fat.
So,
When a person thinks, his brain is used, his cells are used, then he needs more fat. So from where does he get it? He gets it through the work of this one poor chakra within us called Swadhisthana.
cosa fare?
And also this can give you creativity if you remain in the center. But if you are not spontaneous and not in the center, what you know about everything or you try to create is just a mental projection, like modern fashions. The modern fashions come and go, and that's why they are very expensive in the market, because after one day they are finished. So this poor center gets tired, because if it has to work for the brain, then it neglects other organs which are very vital to us.
Importanti.
So that's the reason pancreas, if it goes out, you get diabetes. A villager may eat every day 1 kilo of sugar, he doesn't get diabetes. But a bureaucrat or say a businessman or a politician, even if he eats 1 spoon of sugar, he gets diabetes. Because he thinks too much, that is not needed, a wasteful thinking. And like a machine, it's working all the time in the brain. That is the reason why the people who think too much get liver trouble, they have overactive liver, and then they get into tension, so they drink, so they get more bad liver. And the liver is responsible for our attention, so our attention is like this all the time, nervous. At the slightest touch, they jump on you like a frog or bark at you like a dog. Because they are so nervous, their nerves are out, they cannot bear any more anything. On top of that, if they think they are great, even a policeman can think, anybody can think that he is very great, means he has a big ego, supposing on his head like this sitting. Then God save you from such person. Apart from ego, you see, ego ends up in stupidity, you will be surprised.
Crazy.
Is the natural result of ego is nothing but stupidity. Now the other day, I had come to Rome last year, there was a very nice exhibition. I was going along the river Tiber and I was seeing all nice things that Italians had produced and other countries had produced in an international exhibition. And suddenly we came to the stall of UK, because nowadays I live in London, so I feel I'm British, so I wanted to see the stall. To my amazement, there were nobody else but punks. They had cut all their hair, brought out some hair from here like this. Some of them had holes in their dresses. They had one color on this side, another horrible color on another side.
Così via.
So very stupid, you cannot imagine.
No.
And all the Italians were laughing. So I asked why the Italians are laughing. So they said that Italians have a sense of ridicule.
Piccolo.
That means Italian ego is not overdeveloped, I hope so.
In quel caso.
But this is what happens, that you go to ridiculous limits of stupidity. I met one fellow who was a hairdresser. He said, why don't you come, mother, I want to do your hairdress.
Rossi.
I said, I don't do all that. I said, what are you doing? These things, these spooky-like things coming out. Why do you do like this? So he said, this is for mad and stupids. Don't you know these people are very mad and stupid? They don't have our wisdom. I said, why? Because they put glue inside. And with the glue they put all these things. It costs them 5 times more. And after some time they'll all become bald. It is not naiveness. It is stupidity. Otherwise, they will talk on politics. You see, they talk like a big, great leaders, as if, you see, even a garbage cleaner talks in such a big way that you are surprised, the way he talks. But they have no sense in the head. But ego is very destructive. Hitler used it. He took help from lamas, from Tibet and all these places, and they taught him how to make people egoistical. The extreme side of the right side is called as collective supraconscious. There to reside people who are extremely ambitious types, and they are still not satisfied, and they are dead, so they want to manifest. And they capture people who are egoistical. They sit on the same horse. And such an egoistical person can really make you run so fast that after some time you find you are dead with heart. Maybe in the beginning they look very important and very impressive maybe and also successful, but after some time they are flat. So one has to understand this is not normal, this is not natural, this is abnormal behavior. Because of these abnormalities only we human beings have wars. A normal human being is a peaceful person. He has peace in his heart. He is an affectionate, kindly person. He has compassion for others, and there is no lust or greed or nothing, just he loves because another one is a human being. The another problem comes in with us when we are too much attached to our children, to my family, my house, my country, my, then also there can be a very serious problem. Some countries kill their children, and some countries kill the country for the children. But the compassion of God is like a sun in the tree which comes, gives nourishment to every part equally, whatever is needed, and goes back. It does not get stuck onto one flower or one branch, otherwise the whole tree will die and the branch will die too. But this detached compassion you can only develop if you are the spirit. Because when the Kundalini crosses Agya Chakra, this center, then the ego and superego both are sucked in. Your conditioning and ego are sucked in. So after realization, you say, it is happening, it is working out, it is not working out. You don't say, I do it. You don't say that way, because you don't do it. You see, the Kundalini is working out. It is happening. So when you don't have this myth that you are doing it, you become absolutely light. There's no tension.
Sure.
Actually, what do we do, as I told you yesterday? We do dead work. We cannot do living work, like making a flower or a fruit out of a flower. We can't do even one. Ego is a very big myth. It is like some villagers have never seen an aeroplane, and you tell them, now you should not take too much luggage because it will be too much for the aeroplane. So they put the luggage on their heads.
Yes.
And you ask them, why are you putting it on the head? They say, we are trying to reduce the weight of the aeroplane.
Yeah.
The one who has created us, the one who has made us human beings, the one who has nourished us is going to make us superhuman beings too. much more than human beings. He is anxious that you should come into his kingdom because the time has come.
Yeah.
His earnest desire is that you enter into the kingdom of God and become the citizens of that heavenly kingdom. As a result of that, first you become thoughtlessly aware, you go beyond thought, and then you become doubtlessly aware, you become without doubts. You know there is this power. At that stage, the power starts flowing through you. You don't worry about things, your age doesn't show. You look extremely happy and a joyous person. You don't sit down and worry or cry and weep all the time. At the same time, you are a fearless person. You are not afraid of telling the truth. You stand with no compromise with evil. But you also have powers to fight the evil. Evil cannot stand against a righteous personality. Because the power of Kundalini is such that anybody tries to harm a person who is a realized soul is immediately starts shaking before that. Now Christ was to be crucified, that drama was to be played, so he did it. Because that is a very special place on which he resides, and only a detached, great thing like Christ could enter into that. Because he is Om, he is Chaitanya, he is the Logos. He is the vibrations that you feel. He is the power of innocence. So, such a personality had to show that this body cannot die, which is Chaitanya, which is Brahma. So, bodily though he died, he lived again in his resurrection. To show what Krishna has said, that this eternal life cannot be destroyed by anything. And this is being proved by his resurrection. So, to understand how fantastic you are, you have to become the spirit. You must have your resurrection, otherwise you will have no value for yourself. Because you have to be the absolute to get out of this relative world. And that is so simple, natural, so spontaneous, and it is so practical that after realization you will write a book on its practicality. There is no end to it. But to know this great magic, you have to become the spirit. This is the only condition which is very simple. May God bless you.